We have 6,289 cases of coronavirus in Victoria. That's 374 new cases. 62 connected to known and contained outbreaks, 312 that are under investigation. There are 3,078 active cases. I'm sorry to have to inform you of 3 further deaths, bringing the total number of fatalities due to this virus to 42. A woman in her 100s, a woman in her 90s and a woman in her 80s have all passed away, and we send our best wishes and condolences to their families. This will be a particularly difficult and challenging time for them. There are 174 Victorians in hospital. 36 of those are receiving intensive care. On testing, we have now done 1,361,238 tests since January 1. Our testing rate per 100,000 has now exceeded 20,000 per 100,000. And yesterday we completed some 29,464 tests, so just under 30,000 tests yesterday. Again, as I always do, because it's critically important, can I thank each and every one of those almost 30,000 Victorians who got tested. That gives us the information we need to trace, to track and to isolate and quarantine anyone who is a close contact or indeed a positive case. It's essential that we continue to see people come forward and get tested with even the mildest of symptoms. We've got more than 160 test sites across the state. I want to give a shout out to our laboratory technicians, to the enormous team of people who are taking those tests, that is, taking the samples, as well as, of course, a big thank you to all of those who continue to present and come forward in what is a fairly simple thing to do, but it makes a massive difference, a profound contribution to our fight against this enemy. In broader terms, obviously, tomorrow night we move to mandatory mask wearing. I want to congratulate Melburnians for having taken up the call to wear masks. Coming in this morning, I think 8 or 9 out of the 10 people I saw were wearing a mask. That's a fantastic effort. Again, a small contribution. I remind everyone it's not just a mask of surgical grade. It can be a face covering as well. Any protection is better than none, and it does make a real difference. But it is heartening to see so many people listening to those messages, changing their normal habits and embedding mask and face covering wearing as part of just the normal daily routine. It's a small thing, but again, a bit like coming forward and getting tested, it makes a significant contribution given the amount of virus we have out in the Victorian community and our absolute determination as part of this 6-week strategy to bring stability to those numbers and to drive them down. It's always challenging to analyse any one day's results. You'd like to see numbers coming down. At the end of the day, though, we're not seeing the doubling and doubling again. So what that says to me, and I'm sure the Chief Health Officer can speak to this in more detail, is that the sorts of measures we've put in place are having a direct impact. But even with stay-at-home orders and a very high degree of compliance, even with mask wearing that is already occurring across the community but will be a mandatory feature of our daily lives from midnight Wednesday, we still have to follow all of those rules. We still have to make sure that we're washing our hands regularly. We're observing that cough etiquette. If we get a test result, or if we're waiting for a test result, or if we're the close contact of someone who's waiting for a test result or has a test result that is positive, we need to moderate the way we move around the community. No one can simply pretend that it's okay to go to regional Victoria, for instance, while you're waiting for a test result. Whether you had a test result coming or not, there's no need to be going to the far east of the state, for instance. That does no one any good at all. Again, can I thank all of those Victorians who are doing the right thing? They're making sacrifices large and small. I'm very grateful. We are all very grateful for that work, that absolute commitment to seeing this through and getting beyond this second wave. But there are still a small number of Victorians who are not taking this seriously and are not following those rules. And the number of infringements, the number of penalties that have been issued by Victoria Police tells me 2 things, and should tell all Victorians 2 things. There are still some people who are not doing the right thing. That's the first point. And the second point is that Victoria Police are out there and they're not mucking about. They will fine you, and not only is it not particularly smart to be breaking the rules, flouting the rules, ignoring the rules, it's also just not the right thing to do. Each of us have a stake in this. Each of us will benefit from this strategy working. Again, I'm very, very grateful to those who are signed up to it, who are making sacrifices large and small and living a very different life today than has ever been the case. But to those who aren't part of that, you really are putting everything at risk. And I'd ask you, please change the way that you're behaving. Please acknowledge that everybody, your family, every single community across our state has a stake in this, and the stakes are very high. Very, very high, as we see with another 3 Victorians who have lost their life overnight.